Welcome to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out with Julie Caraccio. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., Julie interviews experts on all areas of clutter: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Learn easy to implement tips on how to release clutter and get organized to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. An award-winning professional organizer and coach, Julie also shares suggestions to help you live clutter-free for a more joyful and fulfilling life. Do you let go of clutter, but then at no time it's back to the way it was? Do your books on releasing clutter and getting organized collect dust on a shelf? Do you know you need to dig deeper on releasing clutter but keep getting stuck? Our Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out, Releasing and Affirming MP3s support you in all areas of your life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Learn more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com.
We're opening up the archives for an interview from Reawaken Your Brilliance. This is a general discussion about Feng Shui. Learn how changing your space can change your life.
Shelley Sparks is a Feng Shui expert, licensed landscape architect, author, lecturer, and passionate gardener. Through the practices of Feng Shui and landscape design, she creates harmony, healing, and beneficial qualities to her clients' home, business, and garden environments. She believes that as we bring our environments into balance, we live happier and healthier lives, benefit all that we relate to, and help heal the earth. She is the author of the books Secrets of the Land, Designing Harmonious Gardens with Feng Shui, and Keep Plants Healthy, Monthly Actions for Beautiful Gardens. Welcome, Shelley.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We are so excited, and I said to Shelley before the show, Shelley gets like A++ for the most awesome background, and we're going to have show and tell tonight, even better. So when we're talking about certain things, Shelley's going to be able to show us a show and tell. So, Shelley, let's get started. What is Feng Shui?
Well, Feng Shui is the Chinese art of placement. So it helps you to arrange your environment to bring the best results possible for yourself. So good luck. Many times people contact me because their love life is in distress, or they'll contact me if they're having problems with money, or sometimes just family issues. And by rearranging your environment, you can help to smooth the path for things to go much better in your life.
Now, can you talk about the basic principles of Feng Shui? And, my understanding is, after reading, you're the first Feng Shui person I've talked to, is clearing the clutter is a basic principle of Feng Shui.
Yeah, clearing clutter is really, really important. And that's actually one of the tips that I was going to offer in terms of the 3 things that you could do today to help your life. But it's much, much more than clearing the clutter. Not everybody lives in clutter. There's many people that I work with, and their homes are just, totally uncluttered. Mm-hmm. And then there's people that I know that have a certain amount of clutter, and it's okay. So it's really about balancing your environment. So, for instance, on a very, very basic level, if your home is too dark, you need to lighten it up. If all of your rooms are colored white, then you need to add some color to it, because that's where you're living. That not only reflects you, but it also shapes you. So that if you're not living in a balanced environment, your life can become unbalanced.
So balance is, we've got a question actually already from chat, and I know we will touch later because someone's like, I want to know how to improve my relationship. So I said, we'll get to that later, I promise. But we have a question from Butch. Do you think astrology or numerology play a part in couples getting along and connected? And I would add on to that, is there any astrology or numerology with Feng Shui?
Yes. With Feng Shui is Chinese. Its basis is from China. Started about 6,000 years ago. So most of what is used is balancing elements. And what I've found is that when I'm working with a couple, I'm working to help balance their elements as well as their Chinese animals. So I'm looking at those kinds of things. Don't use a lot of numerology. There are some things that are associated with numbers in Feng Shui, but not really, not very strongly at the surface of it.
Okay, so that would be more if you were getting, I guess, more complicated, or perhaps if you had a house that had a lot of issues maybe and you had to bring out the big guns type of deal?
No, not really. In terms of numerology, not so much,
okay.
Really, not so much. That it gets into more, that gets into a little more of the esoteric side of Feng Shui. And I don't use that often when I'm doing analysis. Really, when I'm working with people, I'm looking at the chi of the house, the energy of the house, the energy of the land around them, and their own personal energy. So sometimes, people are depressed or anxious or scattered. There's a lot of different ways that people present themselves to the world, and sometimes that's not to their best benefit. And so sometimes I'm working to give them some personal advice on shifting some of that energy, not to change your personality, certainly not, but just to, again, bring you back into balance.
Okay, outstanding. So can you give an example, I think you did earlier, of how the principles of Feng Shui are applied? So if that means if the house is white, bringing in color, or if it's very dark, bringing in light, or say if you're working with a client that's depressed, how would you bring in the principles that way?
It's going to depend on the particular person. So in that, if a person is depressed, I'll give them a personal energy booster, an exercise, homework to do that will help to shift their energy from depression into light. I might give them some meditations to do. I will look at their rooms, their home, and see whether we need to rebalance the colors, because sometimes people are depressed and they're living in dark environments, and then that has to be changed so that they can it can help to shift their energy, and that can hold. Sometimes I'll give people some advice on colors, colors of clothes to wear to help shift their personal energy.
Oh, I love that. So can you kind of walk us through, if someone's never had a Feng Shui consultation, you walk in the door, do you have a diagram of their house? Do you have them send that? Kind of what would a consultation look like?
Well, I like to have a diagram of their house, but oftentimes people are really, it's very difficult for them to do it. It's a very good thing if I can have that, but it doesn't always happen. Luckily, we've got Google Earth, and I can actually get a really good feel for the house just from looking at Google Earth, looking at the relationship of the street to the house, and looking at, if there's a view of the front of the house. I can see a lot just from that and come in prepared. Some of the stuff is intuitive, and some of it is are things that anybody can look at and tell. So so that's it. So when I come in, I like to get that. I also like to ask people what's going on in their life and where they see themselves being, or what they want for themselves in the next year, if they're in a lot of distress, if they're just doing the consultation to improve their life, I might ask them what they want to have in the next 5 years. So I can get a bigger picture, and we can have a roadmap to give them, so that we can think about the different areas of life that they want to improve, and we can and I can offer them solutions to help smooth the energy in those directions.
So would you try to concentrate maybe and say, okay, we can look at maybe career and love life, or health and love life? Because I'm thinking if you try to correct every room or everything, it just might be mass chaos.
Yeah, that's very true. The first thing I do when I go into a house is I actually look for the blocks. I look for what might be impeding energy, or where energy is leaking. That's really has to be addressed, no matter what the situation, what the people want or what they don't want. Those kinds of things have to be addressed. If they have, then from there I look at the different areas that they might be interested in. So wealth, or career, or relationships, or children, or family, or
So
that.
Can you give an example? Do you mean literally where energy's leaking, like if the front door needs to be sealed, or you're looking at from a Feng Shui perspective?
I'm looking at it from a Feng Shui perspective. So for instance, if a front door and a back door line up, then the energy comes in the front door and leaks right out the back. And and that creates a lot of difficulty. Maybe good things will come your way, but then they'll kind of slip right out the back door.
Okay, that's a great example.
Money will come, but it'll get spent, or emergencies will come up and it'll just go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go home and look at my doors tonight. I don't think they line up, but I'm not 100% positive. So do you mean exact lineup, or if it's off for a little, then that's okay?
Exact lineup.
Oh, okay.
For front door, like in California, everybody wants to look out their back door. They want to look and see their beautiful backyard. So you walk in the house, and there you see the panorama view of the backyard, and there's sliding glass doors, and the energy is just zipping right through the house.
Oh, got you.
A lot of times people, I know this whole thing of energy is kind of weird. So what I tell when I'm teaching, what I tell my classes is, if you think how wind or water would move through a space, then you can understand how energy moves through a space. So if there was a great windstorm and it came through the front door, that wind would go right out the back door. That's the path of least resistance for it. But if you have a space that is more contained, it's going to move through the space and, kind of nurture everything in its path.
Outstanding. Now, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for Shelley, chat it, and I'm happy to ask, or you can call it 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice. Now, when I was researching and found you, I love that not only do houses, but you Feng Shui gardens. So can you talk about that? What else we can Feng Shui? Houses, gardens, anything that I'm missing?
Businesses.
Businesses, okay.
Yeah, of course. So really, honestly, you can, one of the tools, I know you're interested, there's right behind me here, there's a diagram that says Bagua. That's one of the tools that we use to diagnose a home. It's not the only tool, but it is one of the tools. And And you can use that tool on a lot, on a house, on a room, on a bed, on a table or a desk. So it can go from a macro to a micro diagnosis. It can even it's even been used on a body or a face. So does that answer your question?
It does. It does. Do you want to talk about the Bagua now, or I was going to ask about the different schools of Feng Shui?
Well, let me just tell you that I will tell you about the schools of Feng Shui, because that's a really, really important thing for people to understand. A lot of times what happens is that there's a confusion, because there are different schools in Feng Shui, and there are different ways that people would practice this art. So the school that I was trained in, not originally, but the school that I ultimately received many years of training, was the Black Sect Tantric Buddhist School of Feng Shui. So it's called BTB, and it was headed by His Holiness Grandmaster Lin Yun. So that is it's a school that that he founded in order to help people. Really, that was his complete and sole aim in the world. But there are other schools that are considered to be more traditional. For instance, the Compass School. That is considered to be a more traditional school, or the Form School of Feng Shui. That's considered to be a little more traditional school of Feng Shui. So if, for instance, I will use a Bagua, where a Compass School person will bring out a compass that actually has the forms of the Bagua on it, but they'll diagnose a home based on that. So there are differences and differences of approach to it. And what I tell people when they ask me what school, who should I have diagnose my Feng Shui? And what I tell people is, wherever you find, whoever seems to be the most comfortable for you is where you should be. Because you're going to, I've found my colleagues in other schools have gotten great results as well. So that's it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing us. I love that. Just kind of trust your intuition on it.
Exactly.
So can we talk a little bit about the Bagua? Does one area have more weight than the other, and what's going on in the center? And it's all colorful.
Okay, it is all colorful. So if you look at the Bagua, I'm just not quite sure which way I need to swing.
Perfect.
Okay.
Right there's good.
Yeah. So you can see that there are different colors. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna kind of shift around a little bit,
sure.
So
yeah.
I can
No, that's
see
fine.
what I'm
Turn
pointing
around.
to.
Yes.
So there are different colors, and what the different colors do is you can use those particular colors as a cure or an adjustment or a way to increase the energy in different areas of your home. And again, the Bagua, just as a little reminder, I know this is a lot of information to throw at you, but the Bagua can actually be used to diagnose a home, and then also it could be used to diagnose a room. So it can be shifted around depending on what your needs are particularly. So when I'm doing diagnosis of a home, I've had clients who wanted me only to spend an hour there, and So what am I going to do? I'm going to go directly to their bedroom, and I'm going to start diagnosing the feng shui in their bedroom, because you spend the most time in your bedroom. That is, that would be the place that if you're going to make just changes in one space, that would be the place to do it. But if you're doing it, the Bagua has a number of different areas. So you can see, like, the black area at the bottom is the career area. So the color there is black. And then as you move up to the
blue
left, the left, the blue area is knowledge. So career is pretty self-explanatory. It's your life path, your journey. Knowledge is can include things like your ability to learn things, your ability to understand things, but it also can include your wisdom and your understanding of the world. The next area up, the green, is the area of family, and that includes all of your ancestors. And, it's a very important consideration, because they are the ones that gave you the support to be who you are today, be it good or bad. Then we move up into the top areas are the most popular areas of the Bagua. The first one, the purple, is the wealth area. That governs good luck and money. The next area, let's see, my little hand pointer there,
red,
is the area of fame. So that's red, and that's what people think of you as the result of what you do in the world. Are you famous? Are you infamous? And the next area is the area of relationships. So marriage, business partnerships, that kind of thing. The color there is pink. That sounds appropriate. The next area is the area of the white area is the area of children. So as the family governs everybody that is your ancestor, the children govern all your descendants. And also in a business sense, sometimes people ask me, well, what does family or children have to do with business? The family area governs your relationship with everybody that's older than you. And the children area would govern your relationship with people that are younger than you.
Okay.
And then the last area of the Bagua, the word Ba means 8 and Gua means sections. So we've got 8 sections. This is the 8th one. This is the area of helpful people. It governs, like help that comes as if from heaven, just kind of drops in your lap. And it also governs the area of travel. The center area is not considered to be a Gua, but it's the coming together of all the other sections, and therefore you see the Tai Chi, which is a symbol of balance in it, because if you have a good centered balance, then everything else kind of works pretty well. The center governs the areas not covered by any of the other 8 areas, most notably health, and the result of good health, longevity.
Fantastic. So can you talk a little bit, are wind chimes a part of Feng Shui? Or are there any things like wind chimes, or I've seen frogs, I thought represent wealth, or little things like that are part of Feng Shui?
Yeah, those, what that is there's cures. So in order to affect a change in terms of Feng Shui, you've got to, if we're looking to change energy, it's a lot of energy that would be involved in just holding a change. So oftentimes we use things like crystal balls or wind chimes, or sometimes we will use money frogs or things like Chinese coins, and those things can hold the energy once you have set your intention, if they're placed in the right area. So sometimes I'll use crystal balls, for instance, to shift energy. So, in that situation that I was talking about where the front door lines right up with the back door, what a crystal ball can do is it can take and fracture the energy and spread it so that it doesn't slip right out the door. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. Now, was wondering if you could share some basic suggestions. We have a couple of viewers who have written in and are interested in attracting relationships into their lives, romantic relationships. So if you have some basic suggestions, I know you would obviously need to go to their house and kind of do your thing. But
yeah, I actually have some great suggestions. But if I can, I would like to give you an idea of how you actually use the bagua, and then it's going to make what I'm going to say next will make a lot of sense.
Perfect. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay. So in order to place the bagua, let me make sure.
Okay. Yep. We can see that.
Okay. So if you look at a property, so I'm going to do it on a property first, and then I'll kind of show you on the house too.
Okay.
If you divide your property up into 9 equal sections, so if your property is longer, these sections are going to be longer. If your property is shorter, these sections are going to be shorter. It could be narrow, it doesn't matter, but just 9 equal sections. And then you find where the biggest entry is. In this case, in a lot, it would be the driveway. That's what's called the mouth of chi. It's where energy enters. So if you then, once you've found where the driveway enters on the property, over here,
mm-hmm.
you put that helpful people, career, and knowledge area right across the front. The middle section will have the family, the center, and the children. And in the back, where it's protected, are the wealth, fame, and relationship. Okay? So what that means effectively is if you're using this, if you walk into a room and you stick your hand out to the far corner on the right side, that's your relationship corner.
Okay.
That into a room or even into a house. So what you can do also, Google Earth is a great thing. I just often will take a picture from the Google Earth, and this is the house. I've just taken this picture off my computer today, divided into 9 equal parts. I know the entry is here.
Mm-hmm.
So that career area is right here in the center. And the relationship corner would be right on the far right as you walk in.
Okay.
So if I'm standing at that door, it's the far right corner.
Fantastic. And I'll remind everyone, we record this, so if you're a little overwhelmed, you can go back and review, and so you get it down, because we want you having those amazing relationships.
Yeah. So what would you want to put in a relationship area? You could, when I'm working with a single woman, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll suggest that she get some pictures of the most successful and loving couples that she knows in her life and put it in the relationship area. That's her vision for what she wants for herself. Barring that, you might put a picture of Brad and Angelina or somebody else that, that you think has a great relationship in that corner.
Okay.
So, when you're talking about just reawakening your brilliance, this is part of it, giving yourself a vision for your future that's going to be really positive. It's going to be wonderful. That's, we all have this birthright of having a wonderful life, a good relationship, abundance, love, everything. Why not?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So they could put a picture of a couple that they admire or that they know personally, or if not, maybe someone that they see, but just that represents a positive relationship for them.
Yeah, and if they don't like that idea, there's other options. You could put a pink quartz crystal in that corner. That's if you look at almost any book about pink quartz, you'll know that it represents love and wonderful. You could put a growing plant and view that a relationship will grow in that corner. There's, you could put light if it's not light enough. There's, a lot of different options.
That's fantastic. Could you maybe give us, I would say, if we hit on maybe either career or abundance or health, or give a few suggestions? Those seem to be the big three that people seem to be interested in, or anything else that you suggest.
Okay. Yeah. Career and wealth, probably the best cures for that would be fountains. Money in the Chinese vernacular represents water. In the Chinese vernacular represents money, and when water is flowing, it represents flowing water. Flowing money coming into your house. So if you can place a fountain in your career area, and even another fountain in your wealth area, that can be really positive for you in terms of what it can produce. And again, one of the most important things that you can do is really vision for yourself what you want for your financial future. The times that I have had the biggest leaps in terms of abundance have been when I have had very strong vision. Not what you can't do visions based on your goals, because we all have impediments to what we think we can have. So you really need to do your visioning based on what you want.
I love that. I think that's really important. And I just really quickly, I don't believe we mentioned this, but is a cure something, a problem solver? Can you tell us just really quickly what a cure is?
Yeah. A cure, there's a couple of different things. I call them both cures and enhancements, because sometimes you really do need to cure something. You need to a cure. Just like I was describing, where two doors are lined up, and you've got to cure that in order to prevent continuing leaks of energy. So that would be you doing it for the purpose of curing it. But you could use that same crystal in order to attract energy to a space. So suppose you don't want to put a picture. You don't want rock crystals. You want something, relatively small. You could use a crystal ball in your relationship corner. there's certain things that you wouldn't, you can't interchange. Like, for instance, a wind chime. Sometimes a wind chime and a crystal ball can be interchangeable, and sometimes they can't.
Okay.
A wind chime actually, it can help to shift energy in a lot of different ways, but it also represents a voice. So, where you need a voice, say your career is a little bit stagnant, and you need to have more people calling your business. You want attention. How do you get your voice out into the world? You can use a wind chime. A wind chime in the career area would be really great.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to go home and put a wind chime in the career area. Can you...
Or even at your front door is a really good thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I know... Yeah. Okay, that's really good advice. Can you tell us, do you have any suggestions? We've hit on abundance, we've hit on relationships, maybe health. Is that another area? Maybe if you have some suggestions?
Yeah.
Because that would be the center, right? The chi sign, correct?
Right. Okay. The Tai Chi area. Yeah. Health gets a little bit more complex.
Okay.
Because there's many different things that can affect health. But looking at the center of your house is an important exercise. The center of your house and the center of your bedroom would be really important. You would want to have, you don't want to have a lot of clutter in the center. That's one thing you want to be sure of. And then you might need some specialized help in that area, depending on what your problems are. Health does get more complex.
That's okay. Or if there's another example that you want to use, I realize that we're just, again, trying to give basic tips. If there's some other area that you feel like, oh my gosh, a lot of people come to me for X, Y, and Z. If they, well, oh, you're in Los Angeles, so maybe they're like, come on, fame area, bring me some fame.
Right. Actually, that is a really common thing. Or, on the flip side of that, people say, well, there's people that, I would normally expect to support me, and they're standing in my way. They're jealous. They're this, they're that. So the fame area is another really good spot to hang a wind chime. Again, to call your voice out to the world, to expand your voice into the world.
Oh, fantastic. How do you use, I'm really curious about this, how do you use Feng Shui in landscaping? Or say, you mentioned a lot earlier, so say someone was considering buying a lot to build a house. How would you use it in those instances?
Well, there's a lot to it, but you can use the colors, in a very basic sense. You can use the colors. You can use specialized, of course, fountains. You can use statues. You can use things that attract animals or birds to particular areas to help expand the energy.
Oh, okay.
But also, if you're building a house, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. You need to, you want to site the house properly. For instance, what's proper, what's not proper. If you have a house that's set way, if you have a big lot and your house is set way at the back, mm-hmm. then it's harder for the energy to get to you. So, you want to be careful on where the house is actually placed.
Okay.
And then what's the relation, we can get into a lot of other stuff. What's the relationship to the street and, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
use...
But
Go ahead.
my book talks about a lot of Feng Shui in the garden things. So that it's a really good basic. It's actually more than a basic book. It really helps people to understand the basics of Feng Shui and the basics of landscape design. So, it gives you kind of an eye into two worlds.
Okay, we have a question here for you, Shelley, and I want to take it from chat, and I want to remind everyone you have a question for Shelley. Chat it or call 919-518-9773 or Skype Computers 2K Voice. Tamay says, I have heard that when arranging your room, according to Feng Shui, not sure what kind, it is bad luck to have your feet pointing at the door. Is this true? Can you clarify?
Yes. Almost every school will tell you that. There's not too many schools that would violate that rule. The reason is, and this is not to say that what that actually means is that if you are right in the doorway and your feet are pointing towards the doorway, that's really bad luck. It is where it comes from is that it's the position that they put people that have died in, so that their spirit can leave. So bad luck.
Okay,
so
fantastic.
Good question.
All right,
Thanks
great.
for
I learned something
letting everybody
tonight.
know that.
Okay, outstanding. Do you use things when I was doing my research, such as, like, for instance, you're the first Feng Shui person I've heard talk about using a crystal ball, which is awesome, or, examining their energy. Do you use things like candles or essential oils, anything of that nature?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I do. Candles, fire elements are all really good in the fame area. So if you want to light a fire under your reputation, that would be a good spot for it. That's good. Essential oils. I mean, I love essential oils. I think that, if you can educate yourself on Bach flowers and all that kind of, and the different scents and what they can do for you, I think that is only going to help. And in terms of health, I think that that's a really good avenue for people to explore.
Okay, fantastic. So how does someone train to become a Feng Shui consultant? Is there a certification process? How does that work?
Different people and different schools have different methods. In China, as I said, Feng Shui began in China probably, they date it 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. And it was always considered to be a secret art. So what my master said to me is that there would be one mouth and two ears. And that would be the way it would be taught. And you would study with a master for many, 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 many years before you would even begin to practice. That has changed. Here in the West, we're very open about things, and my master was one person that actually did, began that. He taught publicly, and he taught many people, and I spent 20 years studying from him, and probably don't know as half of what he taught. So there are some schools that do certification. There are some schools, and different schools have different programs. Some of them, when I first started to practice Feng Shui, it was like a 1-week class, and then I started practicing. And, my hair has turned white just thinking about what I did to my first clients. I learned from them. And I've had people call me and ask me, to do a consultation, and, and then, they'll ask me the Lucy question. 5 cents? Could it be 5 cents? And sometimes people aren't quite ready for a more advanced, professional, and I'll refer them to people that have less experience, but, still are very competent to work with them. I mean, it's just, that's part of it. But there's different schools, there's different teachers, there's different levels of abilities, and people come into Feng Shui from different places.
Absolutely. Okay, no, that's great. Thank you. We've got a question here before I lost my train of thought and was going to ask you one, but we had a question pop up on chat. Bob wants to know, I heard mirrors are not good in the bedroom. Your opinion?
Okay. Different schools have different opinions. There are some schools that say absolutely no mirrors in the bedroom. That comes from a Chinese folk custom that says that if you have a mirror right across from your bed, when your soul leaves out at night to wander, it'll scare itself and come back into your body, and you won't get your proper rest. That's a particular philosophy and point of view, and it's a valid one. And sometimes I've had clients where I've asked them to put mirrors in the bedroom and they don't like it, and then that's not right. So whatever, if you're not comfortable with having mirrors in the bedroom, then you shouldn't have them in the bedroom. But I will often recommend mirrors in the bedroom for different cures, if they're necessary.
Okay, fantastic. And I remember what my thought was that I lost earlier. You had made a great point at the beginning of the show about kind of trusting your intuition when working with a Feng Shui consultant, and perhaps not focusing so much on the school, but how you felt working with the consultant. I wanted to just reemphasize that because I thought that was a really good point. Can you share maybe a success story or two from clients that you've worked with? You don't have to name them, but maybe give some examples for people and how Feng Shui helped your clients' lives?
Oh, man. That, actually, Julie, that is the most exciting part of doing this work. The most incredible part of doing this work. I had a client last year, maybe it was probably 2 years ago, who had a kidney stone, and his doctor told him he needed surgery, and his wife called me and said, can you help? And I gave him a cure, and within 3 days he passed the kidney stone and didn't have to have surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. And, then later on, he actually developed cancer, and an advanced cancer. And he's cancer-free today. He's went through treatment. And I think that, together with the cures that I've given him and the work that he's done on himself, have really contributed to his good health today.
That's outstanding. Now, could someone use Feng Shui to help get pregnant, or is that
Oh, yeah.
wacky? Oh, really? Okay.
I have several Feng Shui babies.
Okay. I'm going to do anything that, anything that can help in that area. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, that leads me to a question. Would you be able to do it? First of all, I'm blown away that you use Google Earth. I think that's so smart, and I would have never thought to do that. But could you do a consultation via Skype?
Oh, I do. I do. I've now done probably a dozen consultations via Skype. It's great. I love it. You know, there's a small element that is lost in being in the environment because, you know, my body, you know, I can feel things sometimes when I'm in an environment that doesn't always translate in terms of a Skype interview.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot I can see. That client I was just talking about, she had, this is really interesting because you had asked me about diagrams, and my client had drawn me a diagram when they first moved into this house. And I went through and gave her cures based on the diagram that she sent. Well, you know, when her husband got sick, she decided it would be better if we did a Skype interview. And she showed me through the house, and boy, was I surprised. Oh, I didn't know that door was angled, and I didn't see that, you know, and people draw what they think they see, and you know, like I'm not a trained architect, but I'm a licensed landscape architect, so I pay attention to architectural details, and oftentimes, you know, people just don't know to pay attention to those kinds of things, and so they'll draw a door that looks like it's straight across when it's really on an angle, and that can make a huge difference.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm a huge fan of Skype. I mean, not only do the show, but if I don't have a personal or professional relationship with someone, I Skype purely to get a feeling. And I know within just a few minutes, okay, this is someone I want to have on the show or not, because I just have to feel it and go with my gut. So I think that that's a really, really important tool. What 3 things could people do today to change the energy, the Feng Shui energy in their house and make it a luckier space? Do you have some suggestions for that?
I do. So you saw that I was talking about the mouth of Qi. That's where energy comes into your home. So that on a lot, that is your driveway. But in your house, it's your front entry. And a lot of people don't realize how important a front entry is. Some people, I had one client who had his front entry nailed shut.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Was wondering why he couldn't, you know, why he wasn't getting movies produced. So, that's where the energy comes in. It's very important. So what I like to tell people is to dress up that front entry. Make it look like, dress it up as if somebody you really admire and even worship was going to come to visit you. So because the most important person actually that can come visit you is you. And you need to have the energy at your front door really read as if it's you, it's your personality is there, because that's the way energy comes in. If it feels welcome, it comes in and flourishes in your home. So that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, I would say clutter. Clutter does not mean that you left a glass out overnight on your sink. Clutter, you know, I've been in homes where my client had to make a path for me to move through the house. That's clutter. That's really bad clutter. If you have, here's what I say clutter is. Anything you don't love, anything you don't use, or anything that's in the wrong place. So I did a consultation couple weeks ago for a client, and I went into her living room, and displayed were all of these beautiful old clocks. And I said, oh my, those are just great. And she said, you want some? Take them. They belong to my mom, and she made me promise that I would, take care of them. And I told her she just wanted to be remembered. And that struck a chord with her, and she said, okay, I don't need to have them all here. Mm-hmm. That wasn't her. It wasn't her, personality. It wasn't her being. And she was doing it in service of, a request from her mother. That's not a good enough idea, a good enough reason to keep things around in your environment. The third thing I would say is to go home and pretend you've never been in your house before. I know it's really hard to do, but that's one of the most important things that I do as a Feng Shui consultant, is come in with brand new eyes. If I hadn't asked about clocks, I wouldn't have known that she really didn't like them, and that she was just living with them because her mom asked her to. So try and look at your home with new eyes. Look and see whether the books that you have on your shelves you're ever going to read again. If not, give them away. Make room for new knowledge to come into you. Look at the artwork. Is it still you, or is it something that you loved, 20 years ago, but, you've just kind of gotten used to it? If it's no longer you, it really shouldn't be there. You have to make room for the new you.
I love that. Now, there are a couple of questions, Shelley, I like to ask each guest at the end of the interview. The first is, someone might be suffering from depression, going through divorce, lost their job. What advice would you have for them?
It's hard to go through those situations in life, but they're always temporary. You have to have the patience. You have to have the understanding, and you have to have vision. You have to have vision of where you want to be. And that doesn't mean, pining or feeling bad for where you are. You really have to accept where you are, because that's where you are, But you also want to have a vision for where your life can go from here. So my teacher used to say that when bad luck comes to its fullest point, then the good luck's just around the corner.
I like that. Now, you've given us tons of great advice tonight, but out of all of that, what one step would you say to people to reawaken their brilliance, whether it's tonight right after the show, before they go to bed, or first thing in the morning?
Tonight, do a gratitude list.
I like that.
It's a wonderful exercise, and it reminds us why, how much we have. It's a lot of our troubles stem from our point of view. And if we can really be grateful for all that we have, then more is coming.
I love that. I think that's wonderful. And Shelley, I put up, it's harmonygardens.net for people to find out more information. But please tell us, is your book available there? Do you have any upcoming classes? What good stuff is going on with you?
Yeah, I have. Right now, I don't have a lot of classes coming up in my neighborhood, but my book is available on Amazon. It's available on my website, and On my website, you'll find great information about Feng Shui. I've got lots of great blogs and newsletters that I've done about Feng Shui over the years that are really very great guides for you. My book is a great resource, and I would love for it to find a home in your library.
And so, Shelley, can you just give that name to us again for your book?
Yes, it's Secrets of the Land: Designing Harmonious Gardens with Feng Shui.
Okay, I'm going to type that in for everyone. But if they go to you on Amazon, but also there, perfect. Secrets of the Land, great shot, perfect. We can see that really well. Get it at Amazon or go to Shelley's site, harmonygardens.net. And perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you. This was eye-opening, and I've got lots of stuff I need to check out when I get home. And thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Oh, Julie, it was really wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciated it. I see how your site really helps people, and I'm so very grateful for that. You know, that's what it's really all about.
It is, and thank you so much. That means the world to me, and I'm just sorry I didn't get to know you when I lived in LA for 10 years. And
Do you let go of clutter, but then at no time it's back to the way it was? Do your books on releasing clutter and getting organized collect dust on a shelf? Do you know you need to dig deeper on releasing clutter but keep getting stuck? Our Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out, Releasing and Affirming MP3s support you in all areas of your life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Learn more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. Thanks for tuning in to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out. Sign up for our newsletter and receive a free copy of 10 clutter-free living tips. Ready to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire? Learn about Julie's coaching, ebooks, online monthly decluttering classes, how to organize your life, office hours, and her unique clutter-free living mastermind at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. You can also watch all episodes on YouTube or download on iTunes and more. Join us next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.